All right. Welcome to another episode of the Ryan Ripken Show. I'm your host, Ryan, and my co-host. Is that better this time, Brad? You're laughing.
It was definitely better. We're getting there.
Well, co-host Brad here, and we can't forget about Zach. He's sitting by himself over there tonight.
You were really close. You wanted to say who the show is named after. He was really close to saying
in case people forgot, just in case. But hey, are you okay over there? We got Rocco's not in the building.
Rocco left me over here, so I'm just like staring at a blank chair.
I wonder if the camera goes to it real quickly. Oh, just knocked us all out. There he is. Stop traffic. What are we doing?
That camera's on.
Well, is it?
I don't think
no, it's on.
Oh, it's on.
Oh, it's on, man.
NBA Jam still playing, I see.
Well, we got to keep it real for
I got to watch something during the show.
Yeah,
I know. We need another one actually.
Well, we'll work on that. We'll put that in the budget. Well, hey, everyone, welcome into the show. If you're coming back, thank you guys for coming on back and joining us this Monday night. We do like the earlier shows. We're going to try to work towards that in the future. I think consensus, we like it. But for right now, we got to do with our schedules and what we do. So we're here on Monday night at 7, actually starting on time. If you're new to the channel, by the way, if you don't mind hitting that like and subscribe button, we'd really appreciate it. But any other thoughts, concerns, guys? Zach, before we get going?
No, I think Brad, don't you have we got any polls tonight?
I do have a poll up right now. And we're going to start with our what's spicy topics. Obviously we always like to talk about that, but obviously, I would say the biggest headline in football this weekend is college football playoffs and what the committee has set up. And so I put in the poll, do you agree with the CFP? And I said, yes, no, Bama out, Georgia in, no, Bama out, FSU in. And then I also said to tell us your for. So it's already split, guys. We got some votes coming in. 20% say yes, 40% want Georgia in. Surprisingly, that is the leader right now. And then 20% for FSU, and then another 20 said that they didn't agree with any of that. They're going to write theirs in. See a couple of people already putting that in there. So someone said Shekel looks like says Texas out, FSU in. So lots of controversy on this, Zach and Ryan.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about with it because this is what makes college football so exciting, great, and also agonizing and frustrating because one opinion really the only opinion that matters is the college football playoff committee, unfortunately, but no one agrees 100% on this. And I think this is where the argument strikes. So where do we start here, Brad? Do we start with the fact of, obviously we know who the 4 teams that are in, but the heartbreak for some of these teams, and we have some reactions trying to decide on both sides of what should have transpired. Brad, where do we want to start with this?
Oh my God, I don't even know. I'll start with just my own opinion on it, and then we can get into some of the other reactions and what have you. But for me, it something has to change. I don't know. Obviously, I think the 4 team setup it's just not enough. There's too many good teams out there. FSU, while yes, they were down their star quarterback and then even their second string quarterback, they were still finding ways to win. And isn't that what we love about the NFL, is that maybe sometimes the best team actually doesn't make it, but they still find ways to win. And so I think that there's got to be some way to make this better. Now, I don't know if this is written in stone yet or not. Maybe one of you guys or anybody who's watching can confirm this, but I know that they're going to be expanding this to, I think, an 8 or a 12 team playoff, which I think would be even better. But do you see a situation in which we're running into the same thing, even with 12 teams, or no?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a situation. We have the same situation, and we have 64 teams in March Madness. I mean, no matter how many teams are in it, people are going to be upset when they don't make it. My personal opinion, I think the committee got it right. I know there are people who will disagree with that and say that Florida State should not have made it. Did they go undefeated in the ACC? Yes, but
Florida State
that 11-0 FSU team that we all fell in love with, that had the incredible defense, that had Jordan Travis, that team's gone. As unfortunate as it is, that team is no longer there because they lost a Heisman favorite in Jordan Travis.
Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing, and this is why, and we're going to have actually some clips here and get your guys' opinion and reaction as well. And I'm not disagreeing that Florida State is a better team than the 4 that are in. But this is when you grow up and you're playing, like shit happens, right? You got to keep playing no matter what. So I just feel really horrible for the Florida State guys who they lost their quarterback and they said, you know what, we got to go find a way. And granted, it was ugly at times. And then they lose their backup quarterback. They find a way to win again. And I know everyone's looking at that TCU, just really what you agonize for in sports is to have the most uncompetitive championship game. And that's where it was. But TCU Michigan, that semifinal game was dynamite. That was fun to watch. And for Florida State, though, it's just what do you do? What do you tell your kids? It means that the games you played really up to that point don't matter. And for Alabama, the crazy thing is we are one ridiculous fourth down play away from Alabama, even though them winning the SEC championship, from not being in this. And you know what I'm talking about, Zach. That fourth and whatever, 30.
Yeah. I mean, I will say I don't know. Even if Alabama doesn't get that, I don't know if FSU still makes it. I think they would put Georgia in over them. I think they weren't going to let FSU in no matter what because of Jordan Travis's injury.
Well, there's some debates about it. And Brad, if you don't mind rolling then this, where Stephen A. Smith talks about the college football playoff committee and just trying to give context to it. And whether you like Stephen A. Smith or not, I think it is an interesting conversation point because let's just face it, there's no real right answer, but there is a reality to what people like to watch and maybe have some more style points. So let's take a look at that right now.
The committee's decision.
Hell yeah.
Florida State was undefeated. I get that. But the flip side is that your star quarterback goes down. I said several points on first take. I'm going to repeat them right now.
Yes.
Number one, you had your star quarterback go down. You didn't look good against Florida. You didn't look good against Louisville. Style points matter. Why do style points matter? We saw a national championship game where TCU got blown out 65-7. Yep. You're the college football committee. You don't want that again. You don't want that in back-to-back years. Dude. You know what? If Jordan Travis hadn't gotten hurt, it's unfortunate, but Kirk Herbstreit highlighted this for us yesterday all over social media.
Well, we know how Herbert.
He's talking about the criteria is there. Player availability as well. If somebody gets hurt, unfortunately, that factors into their decision. So we got that going on. And here's my whole thing as well. Strength of schedule, Alabama ranked 5th. Florida State ranked 55th. Strength of schedule. Also, we got to take this into consideration, how they've looked over the last 11 weeks, who they've beaten, okay, and how they looked in doing so. We also have to take this into consideration. You know something? We don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it.
Yeah, this is the thing you do.
Primetime Deion Sanders, he wanted that job years ago. If he would have coached and they had a 12-0 record, they'd be in the playoffs.
Oh, you're saying the buzz, the juice.
The buzz, the juice.
God.
It matters. It matters in college football. I didn't say it's fair. I didn't say it's right, but it's true. It's the truth. It's the truth. That's right. That's right. It's not nonsense.
Stephen,
it's not nonsense.
The blasphemy. You are speaking on this these esteemed people. Let me say one thing. I'm going to put together a committee.
Yes.
I'm going to get Rex Ryan, Mike Shanahan, Marv Levy's still alive, anyone, all the Bill Parcells. And when the NFL season is over, let every team play their 17 games.
Yes.
And then we're going to put together a committee and let them choose the 14 best, the ones they like best, and let those be the teams that wind up. Come on, it is not.
Stupid. That's stupid.
Why?
I'm not saying stupid stuff in this studio.
Nope.
Just because we're here. That's stupid.
There is an objective way they measure these teams in college football. It is called strength of record. They put all these metrics into a computer. And the team whose strength of record was third was Florida State. Number 3. What they accomplished was third best of all the teams in the country. So unless we've decided to turn this into figure skating, in which there is absolutely no... I love figure skating. Well, I don't know anything about figure skating. But here's what I do know. The only way to determine who was a better figure skater, you or you, which candidly is a competition I'd love to see sometime, but the only way is by letting someone subjectively say, you did it better than you did it. In football, we have criteria that have been established ahead of time.
There's
they
rules,
are the
Stephen
third best team in the country.
No.
Yes.
First of all, we got rules.
So I think that, you know, there's two very compelling arguments. And I think that this is what everybody's split on, right? Like you have the people who are in Greeny's camp that are, you know, just like this shouldn't be fair. Like you look at any other sport, really, like this is the only one. Even you can make the argument for for college basketball a little bit, but there's so many other teams, and March Madness is just a whole different other animal. But like you look at this, and it's just like this is the only kind of sport in college sports that's really treated this way, and it has such a huge audience, a huge draw. So you're leaving out a huge portion of fans that want to see their team actually compete for a tournament, that it really kind of does a disservice to college football. And then on the other side, where Stephen A is saying, I kind of get it from a CFP standpoint. It's like you don't want to see that TCU Georgia game all over again. And so if Florida State's without their star quarterback, two of them, by the way, then it could end up being that way if Florida State ended up getting to the championship. It's tough for me to actually say which side of the fence I want to sit on here, because I can see valid points on both sides of it.
I do too, and that's why the debate is so challenging. There's no real right answer. But as a player, as a competitor, I mean, Zach, I'd be pissed just because what you asked Florida State to do. And again, I do think if Alabama were to play Florida State, I think Alabama wins. I think if Georgia plays Florida State or whatever that happens coming up, I think Georgia's the better team. And also, I don't know how Georgia fell from 1 to 6, by the way. That's something to me that doesn't make any sense.
Well, and Alabama jumped from 8th to what, 3rd?
8 to 4th, and Texas 7 to 3. But to make the home of the point, as a player, though, that's the part of the criteria you're saying, well, really what you didn't matter. And as a competitor, what are you taught? What are you taught to go do? Go win the fucking game. Yeah. Go win no matter what happens and see what happens. And for Florida State, this was the first year, because of what happened with TCU last year, that they said, you know what, we don't want to take a risk, so we're not going to. It's just the shuffling is. But I will say, like Washington State undefeated, they deserve to be in. And that's the hard part of it. But I do think that the Alabama's going to have the right momentum. But it is funny that the ironic thing is Alabama's one play away from not being in it. Florida State won every game and really kept teams at bay. The style point thing it's a real thing. I think Stephen A's onto that. Zach, you got any thoughts on that?
I mean, the committee, I was watching something a few hours ago, and I think it was actually on ESPN, and they said something, I forget who it was, but it talked about how over the past few weeks, the committee was preparing for this moment. They knew Florida State had the possibility to go out there and go undefeated. So suddenly, whenever we were talking about the playoff, it was no longer, okay, which 4 teams deserve to go. They started saying, we're taking the best 4 teams. And actually, I've seen this photo go around a few times. I'm going to read the final criteria and principle for how this is selected. And it says, and I quote, other relevant factors such as unavailability of key players and coaches that may have affected a team's performance during the season or likely will affect its postseason performance. So right there in the bylaws of the committee, they've already set themselves up for a situation like this where, okay, we have an incredible team with a Heisman candidate and the Heisman candidate goes down. Do we still let them in? And that was kind of their cushion of, they were giving themselves in that wording, okay, if a team is only their best player, we can take them out. And I think that's what they did with FSU.
Well, yeah. Well, the other part of it is, what if FSU wins like Michigan did 26-0?
Yeah.
Like what happens then? And I'm curious because the committee then was going to have to make a tougher decision. But if it really was, if that's the case, if Florida State though went and put it to Louisville and it was really out of the game was out of contention and they coasted, is Florida State still getting in? Yes or no?
If they would have dominated Louisville?
Or if they won like Michigan, 26-0, like a game like that where it was a pretty dominant performance.
Yeah,
No.
I think so. But it was.
I don't.
Oh, you say no, Brad?
Yeah, I think without Jordan Travis, that sealed it no matter what. I don't think the committee actually had Florida State going in once that happened.
They already had it picked. They already had them already had their name being pushed to the side from the get-go. The 4 was just a mirage.
I think the toughest decision they had to make was which SEC team was going to make it into the playoffs, but they already had the other 3 decided.
No, I completely agree.
It's nuts. The style points, it is really interesting. It's fascinating to me. It should be a fun thing. I'll tell you what, though, if we have this video real quick while we're talking about it, just the Florida State, and this is what we're talking about, where kids put so much time and effort into, and you can sense the disappointment. Brad, do we have that video of Florida State?
Yeah.
The reaction. Let's just show it here for a quick second.
Devastated, and I'm sure there is a lot of anger in Tallahassee as a result of this. Just a terribly unfortunate set of circumstances. They left Mike Norvell, who has done a fabulous job at Florida State, put the Seminoles in position, and now will be a challenge of leadership for him in the moment. But I think it's
yeah, obviously sucks to see.
Right, and then that's the point for me. When you tell you, and the coach for Norville, what do you tell your team?
That's what I was just about to ask. Like, what in that moment? You see him get up and walk, obviously, to address the team. What do you say in that moment?
Yeah, I think you just got to say it's disappointing. You're pissed off, and he can probably be as raw and organic with his team when there's not cameras around. But the best thing that they can do moving forward is go into their bowl game and win it. Go win that game. And then you can.
Well, you see who they have.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's Georgia.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So you can prove the point. And the thing that's going to suck is I do think Georgia's going to win that game. But that's the best thing you can do is saying, prove yourself, go beat Georgia. Go kick their ass. And if you do that, that's going to change the conversation even when the playoff expands. Because right now the ACC is down. Everyone thinks, and rightfully so, the SEC is stacked. That's no knocking that. But the ACC is now really taking a dip on what they look at it. Clemson hasn't been who they've been the last few years. So outside of that, they're going, oh, maybe Notre Dame, Louisville was a nice story. And Florida State, oh, they're back, but are they really back because the conference isn't strong enough? So it's crazy. On the flip side, though, Michigan's the number one team, by the way. And I think all of us here, Zach, Brad, we think Bama's dangerous, right?
Yes.
Like they're extremely dangerous. I think Michigan agrees with that.
Yeah, not every day you see the number one team maybe have a more upset reaction than Florida State did.
Yeah, it's wild. We actually have this video. So Michigan gets announced as number one. They're waiting for who they're going to play, who's going to be 4, who's going to be 5. And we'll let you guys decide how Michigan reacted. But looks like to us, they weren't pretty happy with who was number 4.
Michigan, number 5, Who's number 4?
I'll tell you what, that's a confident group in there. They wanted Bama.
I can tell you, they thought they were playing a backup quarterback. That's what that reaction screams. We thought we were playing the backup quarterback.
Well, I think it's going to be a great game, but man, damn, that's the team you got to face when it's all said and done. That's going to be a test. Michigan's defense versus Alabama's offense and just overall, their team. I think Alabama, the problem for Michigan, they're going to have to be able to. They run the football. They are not a pass happy team. I think that's fair to say. They run the football. They can make some big plays, but they are tough defensively. And then what do you get? What's your prize for being the number one team? Oh, hey, here's a Bama team that beat Georgia, a team that hadn't lost in 2.5 years.
So I saw a weird. I guess it's a conspiracy theory, but I love thinking about this. Is part of the reason Alabama got in over Florida State. So because the committee is punishing Michigan.
Ooh.
Because think about it. If now all of a sudden the team that you've suspended their coach for 3 games, there's this big stain on it. They would have been playing a backup quarterback. And if you watched how Florida State played against Louisville, they had a bye week into the championship. I don't think that they wanted that. I really don't. I think they wanted to give Michigan a team that they think is going to beat Michigan.
Yeah, wouldn't that be? It's going to be a storyline either way. It's going to be that people are going to be pissed Michigan won with the cheating scandal, or it's going to be that Alabama is going to be the national championship. If Alabama wins the semifinal game, I think they'll win the whole thing.
Either way, I'm taking the under on the points, whatever it is.
That's the goal. That's the plan.
I'm taking on both defenses are very, very good, especially Michigan. So I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of scoring in this game. I'd be very surprised if there was.
It's interesting hearing some comments here about Dylan Gabriel, quarterback, is transferring out of Oklahoma. Is that correct? I believe. Yeah. So, have Maryland pay $2 million for the dude. That is crazy, right? that you have to pay for a quarterback, and I forget which head coach was out there recently saying it, that to get a really good head coach, was it Matt Rule?
Yeah.
I forgot what it was that you need $1 to $2 million at least to go out and get a good quarterback.
Yeah.
Right now in college football, the game's changed.
It's so crazy. There's now a budget in a team's athletic department, in a school's athletic department, to pay quarterbacks. We're now like, oh, if you want to be in the conversation for a quarterback, you have to have $3-4 million. Like, that's crazy that we're in this time for college football.
This is why student loans exist, right? I guess.
I also kind of love it though. Like, it sucks for the mid majors, but like, it is kind of fun. Like,
it's only going to get insane next year when the Pac-12 completely dissolves and you're having these teams come to the Big Ten and the SEC, and it's just going to be a battle.
Can I say something real quick?
No.
I almost teared up when the SEC played that goodbye video to CBS. That hit me right in the feels. I did not think that was going to impact me the way it did, and I was tearing up in the club.
Okay.
In the club?
Yeah. My living room.
Well, okay. Well, I'm sorry for you. You're doing better now?
Yeah, I'm starting to go away.
You're a good kid. I just want to. Can we just see another? And shout out to my brother-in-law. I want to see a Boise State moment in a big game again. I just want to see a team like that. I want to see the Cinderella, and maybe with the college football playoff expanding. Yeah, that was amazing. And then they got their shit pumped in the championship. But I want to see more of that. But at least TCU was in a Power 5. Give me that Cinderella. Boise State still from that moment. I think Camden cried and threw up, actually, Zach. Anyway, a lot of emotions there. We're going to talk about college football as it gets closer and closer. There's going to be some great bowls game. It's still a great time. Just you feel for Florida State, but also congrats to the 4 teams in. It should be fun, including Washington and Texas, seeing them in. That's exciting. What was also exciting, guys? For a couple different reasons, maybe not the actual score of the game, but the Niners-Eagles. And it wasn't because of necessarily the play. I guess it was kind of on the field, but it was a specific play that happened right towards the sideline. And there was 2 ejections. I think we've never seen this before. The Eagles security guard, head security guard, Big Dom DeSandro, is ejected from the game with Dre Greenlaw, with Dre Greenlaw. There it is. I mean, I don't know. Wild. And he tried to take a swing at big old Dom there. I don't know the rules or protocol on that, but I know the Niners were Brad, very upset with the fact that the security for the team, and he's not team security brought in from Wells. He's a part of the team. Yeah. But I think the Niners were up in arms about that because he wasn't a player or a coach.
Yeah. Look, this should never have happened. Let's put that out there. But if you're going, if Dom apparently, I had no idea about this, but apparently he's like the guy there in Philadelphia.
The guy,
not a Philly.
Where's this guy been?
I don't know. I mean, he's a huge guy.
Yeah.
I mean,
how have I missed him?
Yeah, no, he's talking about actual physical presence. It's hard to miss him.
Yeah.
But he's also, it seems like he's such an integral part. If you hear more about it, people, even Greg Olson on the broadcast was saying, oh, everyone loves Big Dom. Like, who the hell is, I never heard of him.
Well, actually, we have a clip here of Torrey Smith talking about him in his 1 year there, and that he was actually way more than just a security guard. Take a listen.
The head security guy for the Eagles, but he's really more than that, right? I mean, he's a go-to guy for so many people. Myself personally, right? If I have any problems, if I need any advice, if I need somebody to pick up the phone, downstairs, played in Philly 1 year, right? He's like my uncle / big brother. But he's like that for so many people. So when you have guys that are going through things and they want to talk to somebody that's not a coach, Dom's the guy, right? So you need people like that around, and that goes to show culture, right? Dom knows Philly, right? He's seen the highs, he's seen the lows, he's been around the best, right? He's seen Philly at his best. He's been through all of these different head coaches, right? So having people like that around, even from Troy in the cafeteria, like there are people like in the building. There's so many people around that add to the greatness of the Eagles that you don't see. And I think Dom's a huge part of that. I literally just saw him at the preseason game at the hotel, got him some crab cakes from Maryland since they were staying downtown. Went to show some love to the guys. But I mean, there's so many people in that building that have an impact on the team that people from the outside don't know. And I can think of so many different people throughout that Eagles building that fit that mold, from the janitors to player personnel to everyone that just makes sure these guys are straight there.
Well, I love to hear that. And I was trying to tee that up better, but there's a way more than that. But clearly people love Dom there, and he's really embraced by the team. But again, to be in the middle of a very important moment, and actually it seemed like Philly was going to gain some momentum there. And Greenlaw started it all, right? He did a suplex. That's the WWE term, right, with wrestling. He completely suplexed Devontae Smith. And hell of a suplex, by the way.
It was a hell. I love every aspect of this story, everything about it. I mean, one, if you go back and look at photos like throughout the past few years, like Philly winning the Super Bowl, everything, Dom is in all of them, which made me just realize like this guy actually has been around and he just is there. And you were like, how do I miss this massive human? But then the fact that just bigger than life human is like, yeah, if you need a shoulder to cry on, you go to Big Dom. And it's like, that's probably the last person in the world. If I needed a soft shoulder to cry on, I'm probably not going to Big Dom.
Whoa.
He looks like he wants to kill me.
Well, he might. It might be that tough love too.
Oh yeah.
Hey, everyone, you need that person to talk to, right? And sometimes it's hard to do that with maybe some certain people on the teams. That's why you got Big Dom. But anyway, a lot of that was a headline of the story. Felt like the Eagles were gonna have a chance to win the game, and then the Niners just BCB Brock Purdy just came out firing. And
Big cock.
And you know who really backed up his talk? No one, I think, talked more in this than Deebo Samuel going into it. But damn, did Deebo Samuel back
Stood
it
on
up.
business.
Oh my goodness.
Stood on business.
So hey, it's interesting. The Niners, when they're healthy, they sure do look like the favorite. We're going to talk more about how razor thin the NFC number 1 playoff seeding race has now become because of that loss. And Philly has Dallas next, and San Francisco has already beaten both Dallas and Philly, so we'll have to sit and wait what happens there. But other news in Philly, the move that touchdown they scored, I believe, was on a what's considered initially as a quarterback sneak, now named the tush push. But Brad, it looks like there are reports coming out that Roger Goodell and the NFL would like to ban said tush push from the National Football League.
Yeah, and I actually put a poll out on this within our YouTube chat right now. Said just a simple question, yes or no, should the tush push be illegal? It's split down the middle, which I'm very shocked by. And if you said no, give me a reason as to why. Would love to hear the no's because I think that there's been a lot of reasons for the yes, but definitely want to hear your opinions on no's if you put it in there. But yes, this came out last week. This is per Diana Rossini from Roger Goodell. She was told by a league source that Goodell wants to see this play removed from the game permanently. It's kind of interesting that 3 of the divisional opponents that are represented in the competition committee are the Giants. Representative from the Giants, the Cowboys, and Washington. No representatives from Philly. That makes a ton of sense now. But that's what the story is. And then again, that's per ESPN's Diana Rossini. To me, Rip, I don't get this at all. If they are able to execute a play better than everybody else in football, they should be allowed to do so. It doesn't mean that nobody else can't try it. And they've just failed at it miserably. Sorry that your quarterback can't squat 600 pounds. That's just how it is. Like I don't think there's any reason to outlaw this. And honestly, I love it. I think it's great. I think that it's good for football. It's amazing to see what they've been able to do with that specific play. And look, this has a shelf life. They're not going to be able to do this tush push for too much longer. Once they start losing some pieces due to salary cap and all that bullshit, this isn't going to be a 10-year long thing or it's going to last forever. This is going to phase out. I think right now it's just a hot topic, but I don't think it should be outlawed whatsoever.
Yeah, a little push push in the tush, is kind of what is happening. I'm with you though. Teams try it, and some teams are solid at it. Some teams are absolutely terrible at it. And there are teams like I saw this comment being brought up. Hey, banned it because the Ravens don't and won't use it. They can't risk Lamar getting injured. That's a part of it though. And to be honest, Lamar does a lot of great things. Quarterback sneaking is not one of them. That is not a strong suit for Lamar Jackson. But you've seen other teams try to do this, and they can't replicate what Philly does. And yes, it does help that Jalen Hurts can bet or squat 1,000 pounds per leg, is what it feels like. And they just have the cadence, the timing, everything about it down. You don't like it, play better. But it is funny that every team is that the Eagles play in their division is represented on this damn committee. Zach.
I don't even think it was the Eagles using it that got it banned. I think it was the 49ers, because all it was going to take, I don't think it should be banned. If you can't stop it, then you do it. But it's the second that Brock Purdy and the 49ers tried it and defenders jumped over the line, hit Purdy in the head, and he was in concussion protocol. The second you start messing with the NFL's starting quarterbacks, they will take out the reason.
Oh, there it is. And look, I do understand right here. The manly name is Brotherly Shove.
Brotherly Shove.
Still, Brotherly Shove it could be more manly. I think push in the tush could be another way for it for me. Yeah, it is interesting. Didn't Patrick Mahomes also a couple of years ago dislocate his knee or something, or messed up his knee against the Broncos on a quarterback sneak? Mm-hmm. It is a danger for teams. So you are risking it. So if the Eagles are willing to do that constantly with Jalen Hurts, they're going to keep doing it. And they have to play the risk. They have to play the risk. If Jalen Hurts got hurt in the pile in the scrum, then they have to live with that. And I think that's just a part of it. You got to let it be.
Yeah.
What's the difference in when Tom Brady used to do it, though? I mean, it's just at a higher success rate than when Tom Brady did it. But Tom Brady was almost a shoo-in for that.
Tom Brady arguably is the best quarterback sneaker in the history of the NFL.
Right. So it's a skill, and Tom Brady was pretty healthy through all of those. I don't recall any sort of concussion risks. If you don't know how to do it properly, that's on you. That's not on the NFL to take that away from other teams that can do it. So for me, I just don't think that there's any reason to outlaw this. And Roger Goodell does so. There's just another reason to boo that motherfucker.
They
clown. He's a clown.
Hey, I love the product that they do. Some of the rules don't make sense. Some of the penalties or non-penalties don't make any sense either, Brad, Zach. I mean,
it's horrible.
I mean, if anyone watched the Chiefs-Packers game, by the way, thank you, Packers. Go, Pack, go. Go, yes. Packers. Big win for the Ravens. We're going to get into that in a little bit here. But again, another discussion on this game, Zach, was that the officiating towards the end was a talked about conversation. And yes, there were some calls that maybe shouldn't have been called, like that rough or the unnecessary roughness, the missed defensive pass interference. I don't care about the Kelsey one, Zach, but that MVS one, I don't know if there's any other way to say it wasn't pass interference, especially with when they slow it down and everything that happened and transpired.
Yeah, I mean, you can also add in earlier in that drive, Valdez-Scantling clearly runs backwards out of bounds, should be a running clock. Mm-hmm. Refs say stop the clock for out of bounds. And just little things like that really annoy you as a fan, as someone watching, when you feel like you know the rules better than the ones officiating it. I've even seen former players coming out talking about how poor this officiating is. And it feels like every week we find ourselves in the exact same scenario. It's, oh, there was a big game. Did you see how poorly it ended for the officials? It was given to this team. It was taken from that team. And it gets tiresome where every week we come here and we sit down and we say, oh, well, this game probably would have gone differently if the officials got these calls right.
Yeah, I mean, this is where we're constantly still at. And I don't care, by the way, if officials are going to make or miss calls. They're not going to see everything. But I think what's happening is we're noticing it more and more in crunch time situations. Mm-hmm. And blatant, and I'm trying to actually pull up to share the screen with, and maybe Zach, you can help me out, or if you can look for this, pull up that Patrick Mahomes going out of bounds. because last Sunday night, if people remember, Justin Herbert, even though it helped the Ravens, Herbert got lit up out of bounds, right? And we've also seen Herbert and Lamar Jackson, both of those guys, not get those calls. But Patrick Mahomes, as we're going to pull up this video, his body is still in bounds. Whammy. And I think the part that got me was the referee said after the play was over. This was the play. The play was happening. And right there it is. Whammy. My vision's still supposed to be 2020 or 2010, but I'm pretty sure you guys can just correct me if I'm wrong. The Packers player's foot might be out of bounds, but Mahomes is clearly in.
And the other thing is, we all see the first down marker right there, right? Like, there's clear and obvious that Mahomes is going for the first down, and that defender has to stop him from getting that first down. It's not like it doesn't fall into the category of, oh, it's by the sideline, the quarterback was giving himself up. Patrick Mahomes is trying to extend and go beyond the first down marker.
Yes.
Is the defense just supposed to be like, oh, okay, we'll give him the extra yard and a half?
Absolutely, especially if
it's Patrick Mahomes, you have to.
Yeah. So there it was.
That's just my point, right? Like I there were plenty of calls, and nobody's shedding a tear for the Chiefs or Patrick Mahomes. There's plenty of calls this season that were game altering, I would argue. The Vikings Chiefs game comes to mind towards the end when there was a DPI that wasn't called there, and a Chiefs player took his helmet off. That should have been a 15-yard penalty as well. So I don't think that there's any tears that are going to be shed for the Chiefs. So I think that it's almost kind of funny, right? Like, because we want consistency, but they're just consistently bad. So they're not just bad towards one team, they're bad towards all of them. And so that's kind of what Patrick Mahomes actually spoke to in last night's press conference, which was actually kind of shocking coming from him, that it is what it is, because there was calls that went their way and calls that went to that didn't go their way. And that's just how it is in the NFL, right? And really sports in general, I would argue.
Well, that's the thing, is you just got to play. It is what it is. And Mahomes, even though people say the Chiefs get all the call, he's not getting. It's not him specifically. It's the same thing when Brady. You can ask for a call and try to maybe beg or yell at the ref like, "Hey, where's that?" And everyone does it in every sport, but that they're trying to get an advantage. Mahomes, it's not his fault, right?
He does it a lot.
He does it a lot, but that's, again, if they throw the flag, it's not his fault that they throw the flag. The referee can say, hey, I'm not giving you, like, that's not a foul, Pat. They can say that. They could do the same thing with Brady. But you know what I will say of that final drive, by the way? How about Pacheco? Just in that, the penalty's coming back, and then Pacheco just on the ground, just swinging, whammy, and then gets ejected from the game.
He was so just nonchalant about the ejection, too. Like, he threw the punch, saw the flag, and was just like, well, there's my game. Like, he was just like, I hope you guys win it. Like, good luck out there. And he just walked to the locker room. Like, there was no argument of, did you see? He was just like, damn, it was right in front of you, wasn't it? And he just took his helmet off and walked away.
Yeah, there was no argument there. He actually wasn't. There was multiple ejections just overall on Sunday. Panthers, Brian Burns got ejected. Obviously, Big Dom and Dre Greenlaw.
Big Dom.
And then obviously Pacheco. Pacheco, he was hauling ass. He was running hard the whole night, including into the tunnel for the end of the game. Well, it's going to be a continued talking point. But hey, the reality is Packers won that game. They deserved to win that game. More importantly, they did deserve to win that game. Jordan Love looked great. We'll get into that as we go. A little bit on a lighter news. Maybe it's just pop culture. I don't know. It's kind of involving the Ravens, but if you only live once, guys and ladies and gentlemen. And so if you live once, I think you just got to shoot your shot when the time approaches. And where I'm going with this is, I guess it's well known that Patrick Queen is a fan of Dua Lipa, Brad, if I'm not mistaken.
Sure is.
So apparently she's not seeing anybody. So do we have that up there, or we just, there it is. Whammy, it's your time. Ramey posted out there.
Then your response, let him cook.
This was his response. And then guess what else happened as well? Patrick Queen also put out another tweet, says, already got a suite and jersey for you at Ravens game. And then he added Dua Lipa as well. Did not know that Patrick Queen had it out for Dua Lipa like that.
My middle linebacker got game.
Hey, you know,
Hey, if Travis Kelsey can land Taylor Swift, why
Yeah.
not? Shoot your shot. Shoot your shot.
yeah. Again, you only live once. What's the worst she says? No, or never reads it. You know,
Yeah.
could be one of the, could be both.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I've told you I've been called an avatar before. I don't know if did that stop me in life. I don't know, but do I still remember the comment? Sure, but it was a great story.
What's that have to do with shooting your shot with Dua Lipa?
I don't know, but I thought I'd just talk about that. I thought that could be one of the worst things that happened, that I got called an avatar because apparently I look like one, but I'm not blue.
Was that are you talking about your an instance where you shot your shot? And
No, I actually wasn't shooting my shot on that one. I actually respectfully declined
okay.
a shot being shot.
And then they called you an avatar?
Oh yeah. Oh, that it gets even better. It was, I think I told you guys the story. It was,
Yeah, you told us about
the
this,
party
yeah.
of
Oh,
South
yeah,
Carolina.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
after I said sorry, I got to go find some other people. She took a photo, and the flash went off. And she's like, "Whoops, sorry, meant to do a selfie." And I'm like, "Sure you did, fucking liar." And then all of a sudden, this is where it gets even better. My roommates at the time understood, you know, just with the name and whatnot, that you could search, and sometimes things would pop up with just search my name. So every weekend they would search my name. And before it was a picture of me somewhere or whatever, they searched it for this weekend. Oh yeah. Good kid. I was actually no, I was not. Believe me, it was not.
I was going to ask
Anyway-
if there was ever an instance in which, like, you know, obviously,
I don't know. I'll be honest here.
have a
I don't
little-
know how
you
to
have a
shoot a
little
shot.
I was going to say, because you have like a little bit of notoriety that comes with the family name. Was there any sort of like leveraging that to get the ladies or shoot
Hell
your shot?
no.
or anything like that?
Oh my God, no.
Did you ever like go in like, I don't know, like people's DMs? Like,
No.
I'm talking like other like famous people and like be like, yo, Ryan Ripken.
Yeah, yo, no. Hell no. If I didn't have to introduce my name myself with my last name, I wouldn't. I'd just be like, "Hey, I'm Ryan." Be like, "Hey, Ryan, what's your last name?"
Are you an avatar?
Well, Abby. Anyway, to finish the story, my friend searched me that weekend, and it popped up. Just met Ryan Ripken. He is so hideous. He looks like an avatar. And then there's the photo that was the selfie, and shit.
We got to find that. Do you have the photo laying around anywhere?
Yeah, you know what? I keep it around all the time. No, it was freaking 10 years ago.
I don't know. I would have kept it just to make fun of it.
Hey, but was not. But again, I it's not my style. I don't even know how to shoot a shot. I'll be honest. I really don't. So, but for Patrick Queen, I applaud you. Shoot the shot. Ravens fans would love to see Dua in the building.
Yeah.
I love Dua's energy. And also, I love the fact that she went from a meme where people are making fun of her to just being a freaking pop star where everyone's like, she's a great entertainer. Good for her. Shout out Dua. Shout out Patrick Queen.
Shout out Dua Lipa.
Shout out
Yeah.
Dua Lipa.
Hey, can we pause real quick before we move on? Because and move the camera over to Zach.
Oh boy.
Oh God.
Can you explain the drip?
Oh no.
The Chicago?
I mean,
You talk about-
you got Orioles gear all over your wall, and
Yeah,
so-
no, I bought this at Wrigley when I was doing a trip there.
So you thought tonight was the night to put that on?
Well, it was coming off the bye week. They did the Bears? No, the Bears, did they even play last week? Yesterday?
no.
Duh, Bears. No, they had a bye.
Yeah.
They had a bye.
Damn, it's everyone's bye week. Winter meetings. The Cubs.
Well, Duck. Well, we're good.
The Cubs.
God, holy shirts and pants. We'll get into that in a minute. And to close this out, by the way, this is a line that'd make me cringe. I would throw myself in the harbor if I ever said this. Honestly, when most people say like "I love your dad" or all these things, I'm like, I guess I love him too, or that's unfortunate. I rip on him just as much as anyone, just because for people that are wondering.
It's like typical father-son shit, and people just need to understand that. Just how it goes.
But also too, like I love my family.
Thank you.
I don't care what they accomplished, and I certainly don't want someone to like me for being the son of somebody. You know, if you think I'm an avatar because I'm an avatar, great, but don't think I'm an avatar because I'm the Iron Man's son. You know, don't know how they correlate, but fuck it, let's move on. Anyway, You talked about, I'll just dive into this because you brought up the winter meetings. Hey, the winter meetings are here, Zach.
Yeah.
The winter meetings are going on right now. And I think the biggest question that is revolving around the Baltimore Orioles is, are they going to make a move? Because there's news out right now of one pitcher, one Dylan Cease, that possibly was on the market during the 2023 season, but no deal was made. But now it looks like that's heating up. And there are some teams, and one of those teams that is in the hunt, apparently, is Dylan Cease, is the Baltimore Orioles for Dylan Cease. So I think we have the video of that, Brad, if we can roll it.
Oh, we do?
Do we?
Nope. Don't have that one.
Well, we're just going to talk about it then.
I thought Zach was going to have that one. My bad.
Oh, we're just throwing. I thought Ryan was going to have it.
Or we can just talk about it too. It's okay, guys. I mean, we can throw videos all the time. Why don't you talk about it? I'll pull it up.
Well, I think Dylan Cease would be a perfect guy. One, because I think mustache nights at the Yard would be electric. And then two, I think this is the time to, it's weird to say buy low on a player the caliber of Dylan Cease, but when you look at his contract time is winding down, I believe he has 2 years left. Is that right? Is anyone?
Yeah.
Yes, he's under team control, and that's the reason why the Orioles are interested so much, because you have that control over a top tier pitcher in MLB.
Yeah, and so you have that team control. It's going down, and he didn't put up the numbers we were used to seeing by Dylan Cease last year, and it's hard to put it on him because when you look at the situation he was in Chicago, no one pitched well. The locker room was just always some weird story coming out of people not getting along. Just everything there just was a problem 24/7. So I'm not going to blame him for not pitching well in those circumstances. So this really could be a time to buy low. You're still going to have to give up a lot. It is still Dylan Cease, but you're buying lower than you would have a year ago.
Yeah, and the point of it where it was a year ago is the rumors that were circulating that the White Sox wanted Jackson Holliday, the number one prospect in baseball. And there's no way in hell the Baltimore Orioles were going to do that. Now, having said that, now that the winter meetings are now upon us and the season's over and the Orioles are looking at, well, how can they better their roster? And I bet with the White Sox, they're sitting there going, well, man, we got to lower our price. Because Dylan Cease, he's still, like you said, Zach, he's still going to cost a lot. But this is the type of the deal that would make sense for the Orioles. They do have an idea, and I've talked about this in the past, whoever's cared to listen to my opinion on it. The Orioles are still trying to figure out who exactly is fully untouchable for them. I think they have an idea actually of that specifically, but who is going to factor in with their big league team and who are they willing to give up? Because they're looking at right now at this window, they have a few players that are ready. And we know who those guys are. Jordan Westbrook already broke through. You have Joey Ortiz. What are you going to do there? You have players that you just signed back. By the way, Jackson Holliday is waiting. So you're trying to figure out what makes sense, right? And then Kobe Mayo also I think is one of those untouchables. What are you willing? Oh, I think he is. They love the guy, and they should. The dude just absolutely bangs, Brad. I know that's one of your favorite baseball terms.
Sure is.
Dude can just flat out hit. So the Orioles right now are doing their homework. And they are going to be aggressive. I know that for a fact. They want to be aggressive with a guy like Dylan Cease because they do believe in the bounce back like you talked about, Zach. So we're going to find out. And I know that obviously, who knows, maybe Ohtani signs somewhere else. Maybe Juan Soto's traded, which I do think it's going to be to the Yankees.
Well, I actually put that in a poll here. So we got 25% so far. People are saying Dylan Cease. The Orioles will probably sign them. Ohtani is in there at 50%. And then Yamamoto 25. I actually asked people to write in too. So if you are listening here, put it in the chat. If you ended up selecting that you wanted to write it in, so let us know. But yeah, Joe says Fuji.
Bring him back.
Bring Fuji back.
Let's run it back.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we pull
he's in the bullpen.
But that's the thing. He wants to be a starter, and that's where the conflict's going to be. But the other part of it is you brought up bullpen, Zach. The Orioles are also looking for a high leverage closer. Brandon Hyde talked about that actually today, and we'll try to put that clip in later on and play this clip that we're talking about. The Orioles need to go get pitching. You can never have good enough pitching. But the reality is, too, they do not have their reliever of the year, their stud in the back end. They're going to go get a pitcher. Starting pitching isn't the overall glaring hole for this team. Their starting pitching is very solid, very good, actually. The bullpen, they're going to need that. But if you can get a guy like Dylan Cease in the process, why wouldn't you? So time will tell, and we're going to have to wait. But I guess they say patience is a virtue. Zach, are you a patient guy?
No,
you're
no,
not.
I'm not patient. I want the signings yesterday. But I will say, I think the Orioles come away with either Shane Bieber, Dylan Cease, or Eduardo Rodriguez before Christmas.
So that could be a Christmas present.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Do you have the
Wait.
Brandon Hyde footage if you guys want it?
I would just go right to about 3:15 if we can, and he can just say what I want him to say.
Okay.
All right. Or I can find it if you put it up.
No, I got okay. Here it comes. Here comes.
There it is.
AL Manager of the Year. Pretty good year for you, man.
No, it was a fun year in Baltimore, and unfortunately, it didn't end the way we wanted to, but made just such huge strides here the last couple of years, and we had such a fun team, and we had just an outstanding season. So it's gonna be fun going forward.
It's different coming to the winter meetings now as kind of the Vanguard brand, right? I mean, it's easy to come here as the team that can hide behind the rebuilding phrase. You guys are rebuilt, right?
Well, more people want to talk to you, because when you're rebuilding and you're going through those tough years, it's tough to answer the questions of when it's going to happen, and you just talk about process a lot, and you talk about you feel like you're doing things the right way, and as we get more talented, hopefully it'll equal more wins, and actually that's what happened. We got more talented. We had a good process in place. Mike's done a great job with the roster. And to turn this thing around the way we did, I'm really proud of really the last 2 years of the brand of baseball we played.
Maybe the best thing of it all, too, Brandon, is you got to be there. So often we see a story where the manager, hey, you're great, you develop guys, you're fantastic.
Yeah.
Then you don't get to see the finished product. How important has it been for you to be part of that and see the finished product, and now you're moving forward?
Well, I just, I thank Mike. I mean, Mike and our ownership and Angelo's family. I mean, they put trust in me to kind of see it through. And in the first few years, Mike was very honest about what it was going to be like. And when I got hired, that was the conversation was had where we talked about this is going to be tough for a few years, but he said he wanted me to see it through, and he did. He did everything he told me he was going to do. So I just appreciate him trusting me with our club. And there was a lot of tough nights for a few years, but it's nice to see us turn the corner.
Before the show,
moving up in the program here. I want to go to exactly. This was him just talking about Jordan Lyles
now,
and Gibson moving
success.
on.
Well, it is a little bit more toward Mike, but I do think everybody's looking for pitching, and we're not. We will also. What I'm proud about with Lyles and Gibson is they had 2 of their best years of their career with us. So they signed that 1-year deal, and they turned it into better deals. So I'm really happy for Kyle. Was happy for Jordan last year. Those guys did amazing things for our club. So we've had a lot of guys come here that had the best years of their career and then move on, but they've done a lot of really good things in Baltimore. Who we get, I'm not really sure, but I do think every team's looking for pitching. We lost Felix. We're not going to have Felix next year. That's a big loss, and so I'm sure we're going to be in the pitching market.
Well, there it is, right? So the reason I want to let that run for a second, I realized in the beginning, it's such a great clip because also shout out to Brandon Hyde again for grinding through and having the opportunity, because you saw those graphics. Those are some rough years for the boys, really rough. And to see it finally turn around is awesome. Now, the other part he brought up at the end, he doesn't know, but every team's looking for pitching, especially them. And I saw a comment here about there's no guarantee that the mound will ever return to top form. Grab great arms early and often.
True.
Yes, I think that is accurate. I do think that the mountain will be back. I do think he's going to be successful, but you can't count on that moving forward. This past year, everyone thought Dylan Tate was going to come back, which everyone's hoping he still is.
He's pitching on a mound right now.
He is?
Yeah, they actually, 20 minutes ago, Rock reported, Dylan Tate is fully healthy, pitching from a mound right now.
Amazing.
I mean, that right there is like I'm sure you're about to say, fans don't want to hear it, but that is a very solid addition right there. So that alone, yes, I don't think they go after a hater or anything, but Dylan Tate is a very good relief pitcher for the Baltimore Orioles when healthy.
He was great. He was fantastic the season before. He was a big part of that bullpen that when they had success, and that's when everything was really turning around. But Rocco
is just,
I agree.
Shouldn't he be in the studio? Can we cut it to Rocco's open chair again?
Yep.
We need to get.
Thanks for showing up to work, Rocco.
We really need to get him a cutout.
Yeah, we
oh
should.
my God, a Rocco cutout just sitting there would be hysterical. I can edit it to make the arms look super tiny too.
Can we just get the Lord Farquaad again?
Yes.
Just put Rocco's face on it as it drops down off the horse. Oh, we need it because it just imagine just him sitting there. You're a good kid, Rock. We miss you tonight. Happy birthday to your mom, by the way.
Forgot this wasn't my burner account. That's great. That's great.
To finish the Orioles talk, though, Dylan Tate is a fantastic pitcher, but everyone was hoping last year, the two guys the Orioles signed, or two that they were hoping on. Let me backtrack. Dylan Tate and Michael Givens. Givens was hurt a lot, then didn't work out. Dylan Tate never was able to get fully healthy. And so that's something this year the Orioles can't afford to not go out and get a high leverage guy. They can't. And they're going to go and hunt for one. Now, the point of being brought up here, if you had to choose between trading for Cease or signing Hader, to be honest, I still like the idea of Dylan Cease. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Dylan Cease, well, also Will Smith, I guess, if the Orioles want to win the World Series.
Guarantee that.
You brought that up, Zach, if I'm not mistaken.
He's won the past three, all with different teams.
Right. So I guess the Orioles have to make the move there.
Statistically, I mean, like, you're guaranteed at this moment.
But I think there's a really good question here. With what Adit was asking, if we're going to go after if they are going to go after somebody like Dylan Cease, what would be reasonable to give up in order to have an arm like that? Like we've talked about, what are the untouchables? Kobe Mayos, Jackson Hollidays. Is there a Colton Cowser trade that makes sense for a Dylan Cease or something like that? Who is it? If you put your GM hat on, what would be the guy? Who would be the couple of guys that you would say, okay, like, hate to see them go, but this is a business decision. We need this pitcher. This is what we can do without. What say you on that? Either one of you.
I think no one's going to be happy with the guys giving up in a Dylan Cease type trade. Like, there are going to be people upset that we have to give up top prospects, because you have to give up talent to get talent. Guys like Cowser, Westberg, Ortiz, Norby. I don't think a Basayo, a Mayo get involved.
Yeah, let's talk about this. I think the untouchables for the Orioles: Jackson Holliday, Basayo, Mayo, and Kerstead. I think those four are untouchable.
Everyone else in the not in the organization, but every other prospect, some sort of package is, I think, going to be made, and people are going to be upset about, because it's not going to just be, oh, we give up Jordan Westberg and we have Dylan Cease. It's the conversation starts with Jordan Westberg and guys like Dylan Beavers, Max Wagner, going a little deeper into the system. Those are going to be throw-ins. The guys that we still really like and think have high upside are going to still 2 or 3 of those guys on top of a guy like Cowser, Westberg, Ortiz.
Yeah, and that's just the reality of it. And look, I've gotten a chance to watch and follow these guys, know these guys, or most of them, I should say. Really talented players. But then you have to look at it, where's the opportunity going to be? And that's where the Orioles are trying to figure it out. And that's why they've been hesitant, because it's, what do you really want to give up when you feel like you have so many lottery tickets and you don't know which one is maybe fully it yet? Like, you're thinking Jordan Westberg. It sounds like they are making a decision right now with him over Joey Ortiz.
Do you know Ortiz at all?
What?
Do you know Joey Ortiz?
Yeah. And so Joey's a phenomenal player.
Great
glove. He could swing the bat. But again, is it the fit of the mold? But Jordan Westberg can do a lot of this exact same thing.
I love watching Joey Ortiz play defense.
Yeah. Ortiz
magical with the glove.
He really is. But Westberg, what I tell people, Westy makes a lot of the plays look routine.
Mm-hmm.
And when he gets going, that dude can hit 30 bombs. So
yeah,
just from what I've seen. But so Joey's very talented. But again, the Orioles, they're sitting there. Do we know what we have? And I think that's what they're still trying to figure out with it. And then the White Sox are in a situation where people might ask, well, can you trade some of your big league guys? It's like, yeah, you could. Hypothetically, you could trade one of your already bona fide starters, all-star caliber players. But I don't know where the White Sox are right now because they're kind of in this no man's land. If they're going to trade Cease, it feels like they're in more of a rebuild. And do you want to take that on and then probably have to pay one of those Orioles players moving forward? So time will tell. Should be interesting. The Orioles will be looking for pitching, and we'll have more on that. And actually, Rocco and I are going to have a Rip and Rock coming out this week about it. So Rocco, if you're still on, let's get ready to roll here. Oh, he's still on. He's a good kid.
Yeah, you know why?
Why?
Because I just put out a recent poll about whether or not this show is better without Rocco. There's one vote that says no. That's Rocco.
You're a good kid, Rock. Hey, there's your spot again.
Yeah,
it's looking good.
We used your light for Ryan, so that's why it's so dark over
Yeah,
there.
we use it because the show is named after me, Rocco. So we had to make decisions.
Yeah, he got both lights today.
Yeah, I did. How about that? But hey, how about this? Because we want to finish the spicy topic, then we want to go around Maryland, talk about the Ravens, then get on out of here. The NFL, actually, because we're going to run out of time. But the game tonight, by the way, Jags Bengals. I know it's about to start, so I just want to talk about it for a quick second.
Jags.
Yeah.
Are we? Yeah, I think the Jags win this game, but are we rooting for Cincy?
Yeah, we have to.
Are we rooting?
Yeah,
Have to.
we gotta.
So to give people context of that, it is razor thin. We talked about the NFC earlier being razor thin. It's really razor thin in the AFC. The Jags, the Ravens, and I believe the Dolphins all kind of are going to have a chance at that number one. Or I think the Ravens and Jags specifically control their own destiny because they play each other.
Yeah,
the Ravens do
Dolphins,
play
okay.
the Dolphins.
Mhm.
So a lot to be decided, but 10.5 is a lot of points for the Bengals. They could cover this game, but are we all consensus Jags should win this at home?
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Bengals
should.
haven't won a road primetime game since 1990.
Not only that, but this is the first Monday night game that the Jags have had at home in 12 years.
Yeah.
That stadium should be popping.
Duval. It's going to be popping in a couple weeks when Baltimore goes down there. Might have to make a
Yes.
trip. Might have to make a trip. So that game starts in about 10 minutes. And speaking, though, of the Dolphins here, the other team in this situation, Tyreek Hill is having having an historic MVP season. He's on pace for over 2,000 yards receiving. And his wide receiver coach, that not many people might know, is Wes Welker, the Patriot, and also former Denver Bronco
And Miami
Dolphin. But Wes Welker, great wide receiver. He played with Randy Moss, and he had some very, very high praise for Tyreek Hill in the comparison between him and Randy Moss.
All due respect to Randy. I love Randy, and Randy's probably the best deep ball receiver, ever in the game. But Reed can run it all. He can run in the whole route tree. He can run choice routes. He can run looky. He can, he can take the top off. He can, his ball skills, the coming in and out of breaks. Name a route you don't like him on. I just can't think of one. And to me, that's what kind of separates him in that regard, and just his mindset and the way he approaches every single day and every single game. It's very, very impressive, and he's got the mentality along with all those things, which is the most important part. And that's probably where he separates himself the most.
I mean, I think that's very enlightening. I mean, Randy Moss, we all talk about that hand going up when he's running past that route. We've all seen it.
Yeah.
Especially that one against Darrelle Revis. Hand went up, and then he actually caught it with one hand on it. Just
if you're getting comparisons to Randy Moss, you're having a good season. That's for sure.
And not only did he get compared, he said he was better. He said he has a better route tree. He actually can run all the routes.
I can see that.
And also in the game, too, by the way, Tyreek Hill and the Dolphins, and they've just beaten up on every team that they should beat up on. Tyreek Hill had 2 touchdowns of over 60-plus yards, and he did all of his damage in the first half. He didn't have to do anything in the second half.
I will say, and I wonder, not saying that this is a massive difference, but have you noticed that in so many plays, I think actually there was a statistic that's like 90% of plays, Tyreek is in some sort of motion to get him like a head start almost on the defense, picking up speed. Could you imagine Randy Moss with that ability? I mean, we might be seeing what it was like with Tyreek Hill, but just adding in that type of scheme with a Randy Moss, getting him to go horizontal down the line and then take off like Tyreek does, I think we'd be seeing that 2007 season could have been even more insane.
Well, and also that Randy Moss is 6'4".
Yeah.
The game has evolved so much that we're seeing all these motions. But what we are seeing, though, whether it was when Moss played or not, Tyreek Hill, it's different. It's different. Teams, the Kelsey brothers talked about it on their podcast, that when you see Tyreek on the field, that's a different speed.
Without a doubt.
It certainly is. And the Dolphins are riding that momentum. And Tyreek Hill definitely needs to be in the conversation. The year where nothing's set in stone.
He should be the MVP favorite.
But he's not. I believe BCB, Brock Purdy.
Yeah. That's a whole nother discussion.
What? Hey, Brock balls when he plays, man. He absolutely balls.
He gives the ball to the should-be MVP, Christian McCaffrey.
Oh, CMC. So CMC and Tyreek Hill. That's a whole different conversation.
That's a different
if
conversation.
you think there should be other players involved in the MVP discussion besides quarterbacks, we think there is. Hey, I think that covers all the spiciness. Brad, do we have any other any polls or anything before we move along?
Yeah, actually, I put up the MVP conversation. The options are Dak, Brock Purdy, Tyreek Hill, and I put Jalen Hurts. No Lamar Jackson. I don't think that he is in the top 4 right now. Just isn't there. So let's just call a spade. But so far, 5 votes are in, and we'll see more come in throughout the show. But it's a toss up right now between Brock Purdy and Tyreek Hill. Actually, I honestly think that there could be a case that gets made that a quarterback doesn't make MVP or doesn't win the MVP because of the mediocre play at the quarterback position this year. I mean, some of the skill positions you talked about, CMC and Tyreek Hill. If Tyreek Hill gets 2,000 yards this season, how is he not the MVP of that football team? I don't.
This season's going to tell us a lot about how the NFL feels about MVP because, as you said, if he's the first receiver to receive 1,000, gain 1,000 yards or 2,000 yards in this year where it's been such mediocre quarterback play, at least from the top, no one has taken that big step to go ahead of anyone. If Tyreek doesn't win it, it's a quarterback award. And it just is as simple as that. We'll never see another non-quarterback win it if Tyreek goes for 2K and doesn't get it.
Do you think it chaps Calvin Johnson's ass that he caught 1,964 yards? Somebody couldn't throw him another 36 to get to 2,000.
One more deep ball.
Well, the other part of that is the extra game now. So I'm curious if Tyreek can get to 2,000 before that 17th game,
right?
Because that will really be a telling sign of it. Right now, he's on pace, I think, to do that. I think it's right around there. I think he's
just over 2,000. Yeah.
So, man, that's spicy. It's should be fun to watch. Hopefully, that's not against Baltimore. That's all I got to say about that. Hey. Speaking of Baltimore, before we jump into the Baltimore Ravens, how about we do a little tour, a little ride around town, actually, Brad, with Adam's Jeep, a little ride around the Maryland region, because we want to talk about, we got the Maryland flag back here. A lot of people love the teams around here. So, Brad, you ready to do a quick little ride around with me?
Let's do it. Yeah, this segment's been brought to you by Adam's Jeep. Shout out to Adam's Jeep for being our first sponsor. We can't thank them enough for kind of getting in on the ground floor of what we got going on. If you guys are in the market for a Jeep, I have a Jeep myself. Love my Gladiator. It is a badass truck. It's lifted. It's got 39-inch tires. It does everything that you want it to do. If you're looking for a Jeep, you're in the market, go check them out over at Adam's Jeep out there in Aberdeen, Horn.
Aberdeen. Hey, that's where the Ripken family, that's where it all became. That's where it is. The Dean, baby.
The Dean?
The Dean.
Is that what you call it?
I call it the Dean, baby. You're darn right. But hey, let's go around. Don't you get on Aberdeen now. All right.
No, it's like F Town. Like you just
the Dean.
Point Frederick F Town.
Again, you don't like it?
Okay, as we ride around.
Then let's go down quickly in basketball ways. People love the Terps. 2 different results this past weekend. The women's team won against George Mason, won by 9. Unfortunately for the men's team, they dropped their Big Ten road opener against Indiana, lost by 12. It's been a rough start for the men's team, both teams actually, but specifically because of the expectations for the men's team. Really tough start right now, Zach.
Yeah, I'll let you get. I didn't mean to jump in front of you, Zach, but do the Terps actually make the NCAA tournament this year?
Not the way they're playing. Not the way they're playing. That's for sure.
It is early though.
It's early, but this is not coming into. This is what Willard's second year, correct?
Correct.
You wanted to see another step, and there was, as we just brought up, there was high expectations. They were in the top 30 to start the year, and now they're one of the bottom Power 5 teams in the nation. And I don't think any of us expected to be sitting here on December 3rd, December 4th, asking, does Maryland even make the tournament? That I thought we would be sitting here going, does Maryland have a chance to get a top 4 seed, a top 3 seed? And now it's, hey, do you think they even have a chance to make it?
I mean, granted, it's early. They're only 8 games.
They're extremely early.
They're 8 games in. They're 8 games in. But to your point,
it's not how it started.
It's and the losses. It's a really, uncompetitive losses. Specifically, Villanova was very tough. You lost some tough games earlier in the tournament, I think, or the the kickoff tournaments.
Davidson,
and was it UAB? Was the other one? I think.
Yeah,
I believe it was. And look, that's just the way the cookie crumbles, right? You got to live with it. You got to move on. But the bigger part that's more worrisome is Villanova, ranked team, you lose by 17. You go on the road, play Indiana, lose by 12. I do think they have Penn State on deck next, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm reading that correctly. So that'll be on December 6th. So they got a chance at Maryland to get back on track. The women's team, they're opening up, I believe, their Big Ten play against Northwestern, I believe, next week. So that'll be fun. But let's stay down the region. The Wizards are not very good this year, unfortunately. I'm sorry for everyone if you're a Wizards fan. They did bounce back and play at least a better game against the Magic. They lost by 5 instead of 19 to the Magic. It was one of those where you play back-to-back in the same city, the day off or whatever it is. I don't understand that fully.
Not at all. I mean, I guess baseball, but it's just weird. I don't like it in the NBA.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. Then to wrap it all up there with the Caps lost to the Golden Knights. Ovi watch for goals, no goals for Ovi, so that stays the same as he tries to make history. And then lastly, Towson University lost to South Dakota State by 13. Hey, the SDSU, it's a solid team. Are
you South Dakota or North Dakota? I feel like everyone prefers one in when it comes to that rivalry, like in football and basketball. I like South Dakota State. The Jackrabbits.
Yeah, I mean, isn't the better football team North Dakota?
Yeah,
isn't that where all the football players came
that's
from?
where Carson Wentz, the Bison.
And then Christian Watson, right? And Trey Lance?
Trey Lance, I know did. Who just came? Tucker Kraft, the tight end for the Packers, just got drafted out of South Dakota State.
Go Packers. Well,
go Pack, go.
And as people know, then for the Washington Commanders, really rough game. Lost by a 30 burger, I believe, 45-15. Really uncompetitive game. We talked about Tyreek Hill. He had 150 yards in the first half, and they never looked back. I think Sam Howell threw another pick 6 in that game as well. So rough week 13. Maybe they should have been on bye like Baltimore, but I'll tell you what, no team, guys, had a better week 13 than the Baltimore Ravens.
No.
The reason why, the Steelers lose at home to a 2-win Cardinals team. The Browns, even with Joe Flacco back, he looked good. He looked dangerous early on, Zach.
January Joe was in full effect early on.
He looked good, but the Rams are actually playing some good ball right now. They get a victory. And then the cherry on top, the Chiefs fall to the Packers. So right now, the Baltimore Ravens control their fate to be the number 1 seed in the National Football or in the
American
AFC. I was thinking about National and American as far as thinking on my baseball. Anyway, Ravens, great week for them, and they could get healthy, Zach.
Yeah, I think this is a huge week to kind of monitor. I would say Ronnie Stanley, Marlon Humphrey are the 2 names that jump out to you immediately. they got guys like Pepe Williams, where we're going to see how they're progressing. Morgan Moses obviously has been dealing with stuff throughout the year, but really just a great week to see, I guess, how injuries have progressed since we last saw these guys, a week ago? So,
Yep.
I mean, I'm interested on Wednesday to see how much of a participation Marlon has, because I think he probably plays on Sunday. Ronnie's going to play. I mean, he played last week, but it just does that knee look better. He clearly could not anchor on it, and we saw the effects of that against a guy like Khalil Mack. So how is Ronnie Stanley moving? And just if this team can get healthy, while it seems like every other team is getting more and more injured, that could be a huge advantage going into the playoffs.
Yeah, and did it feel like that Chargers game? We talked about it a couple shows ago, Zach and Brad, where that Chargers game was not going to be easy. And boy, did all of us sweat it out. And the team, it wasn't the crisp, the best well-run game offensively for the team. The defense was lights out. Tucker was off his game. It looked a little bit rushed, but he missed a kick, something we're not seeing from. And then it felt like everything was kind of going wrong in some ways for the Ravens, but they still won the game. And then you take a deep breath, then you see other teams have hiccups this past week. And now you can sit there and go, we know what our path can be. We got to take it one game at a time. And it's a tough path, though, guys.
Yeah, we don't. The Ravens don't play a team that doesn't have a winning record for the rest of the season, and so this is going to be. It's perfect time, to take the bye. You had a 10-day window between the Bengals game and the Chargers game, and now you had a bye. I think it's just a perfect time for that. Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson have incredible records in December, and now they have a cushion, right? Especially if the Jags lose tonight as well. So the chase for that number one seed becomes a little bit more attainable if the Jaguars lose tonight as well. And so I think that there is a lot, to like about them taking this bye. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the Ravens can do down the stretch. I think the way that Harbaugh constructed this, if you guys don't know how the Ravens ended up getting the bye this late, it was because of the London game. So they chose not to take a bye after the London game in exchange for taking a bye later on down in the season. And I think this is going to work out perfectly for them. It was a great move by Harbaugh and the Ravens for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the gauntlet that awaits them. The Rams have won 3 in a row. I think it's like the first time they've won 3 in a row in 3 years or something like that. Matthew Stafford looks good. That's going to be a tougher game than people are going to expect. Then you got to go and play Jacksonville on Sunday night in Jacksonville, in Duval. Then the Christmas game against the Niners, who everyone just saw what they did to Philly last night or yesterday afternoon. They're going to be humming, but the Ravens then play the Dolphins and the Steelers. Specifically, what's bringing this up is the Dolphins and the Jags. The Ravens are going to have a shot at both those. Those are the games you have to win. But needless to say, there's not one game that anybody can go into and say this is going to be a walk in the park.
No. And it's going to be an interesting final 5 games.
Can I ask you a question real quick? Because this is do you expect Keaton Mitchell to emerge? We saw it kind of this last game. Do you think he's going to emerge more and more as the lead guy down the stretch?
I think there's not going to be a lead back. I think it's 1A, 1B. I think Mitchell takes over in that J.K. Dobbins role of he's going to get the ball in between the 20s. When they want to get people in space, they want to get guys on the edge. He's going to be the one that gets the ball. When it's by the goal line, when it's 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, Gus Edwards needs to be the one to get in the ball. And I think it's going to continue to be that way. That's why I have a lot of people actually that will DM me asking me, should they start Gus or Keaton? And I have to say every time, I'm like, it is Keaton, I think, has higher upside because he can take it to the house. But if you want a guy that you're going to pretty much guarantees getting 1 or 2 touches on the goal line, I mean, Gus is going to still steal those touchdowns.
Really 1 or 2 touchdowns on the goal line because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he actually has the most touchdowns in the league. At least in the AFC for that matter. So yards aren't quite there for Gus, but he is definitely the Ravens version of the tush push. He's the guy, you want on the goal line and at 4th and 1. So I agree. I have both Keaton and Gus in my league as well. So I really don't know who to start each week. And now Chuba Hubbard has also turned it on last week. So now I'm really in a pickle with both of those guys.
Don't you love it?
Don't you like? Yeah. Don't you like being in tough decisions where you feel like you're going to make the wrong one and you're going to just.
Yep. Yeah. I sat Geno Smith this week.
I mean, if you had told me that Geno Smith was going to blow up for 30 some fantasy points, but I did have to start him in a super flex dynasty league. So that was pretty neat. But overall, in a normal league, you're not going to start Geno against the Cowboys. So Brad, we'll give you a pass there. But how about another Ravens player? You saw the versatility of him, Zay Flowers, right? And I think that's probably, we talked about Keaton Mitchell a second ago. I think Zay Flowers is the guy I want to see the Ravens continue to use, because it is evident when he gets the ball in his hands and has space, good things happen. But really the plays that he's really had designed for him are either short screens, or there was the it's kind of the option play for Lamar, could have kept it or handed it off and given it to him. And it was almost a fumble on the exchange, but then Zay houses it. So I think that Zay Flowers is probably going to have to be a big part for this Ravens team down the stretch, especially there's still some questions on who's going to fill in fully for Mark Andrews.
Yeah, I think that Zay, without a doubt, needs. I don't want to say that the offense is failing to use him, because we have seen him succeed in his current role, but there is more that he has to his game that is still to be seen and unlocked. And I think down this final stretch, seeing him stretch the field more, try to get deeper routes, like we said, he's been really working in that first 5-yard range is where he's getting a majority of his catches, it feels like. So I would like to see him really kind of expand the route tree and getting him deeper into the secondary when he gets the ball. So, we watch him get the ball and he makes 2 guys miss, and then guys 3 and 4 have to come take him down. If you get him the ball down the field and he makes 1 guy miss, he's gone.
And the Ravens are going to need playmakers, especially when you're looking at some of these other teams that they're going against. Now, the Ravens can run the ball just as good as anybody, but you got to play the Jaguars, and they have a good system there with Ridley and Ingram and Christian Kirk, and Trevor Lawrence is throwing the ball well, and then they have Travis Etienne in the backfield. The Dolphins can throw the ball around, and now you have Mostert and A-Chain's back now. They're going to need more ways to score. I do think this Ravens defense is going to continue to be elite, and that was the biggest thing for them to get a rest. But time will tell. Should be fun. If you could say that the Ravens would have a clear shot to be in the number 1 seed, that the fate was in their hands at this point of the season, I think everyone would give an emphatic yes to that, Brad. Any final word, Brad, before we move on?
Zach Ertz is still out there on the table. He's still trying to make a decision there. And so we saw
Shaq Leonard's, he signed with who, by the way?
The Eagles. And the Eagles are also in pursuit of Zach Ertz, who lost their tight end as well, and Dallas Goedert. So it's interesting. Be curious to see what's going on in Zach's head right now. If we get Zach Ertz on the Ravens, then I think that the Ravens don't fully replace Mark Andrews, but worthy spot to fill. And this is, again, not to say anything against Isaiah Likely, but it's certainly been it's been clear, and even going back into last season, that Isaiah Likely isn't just automatically Lamar's favorite target. So I'd be curious to see what Zach Ertz would look like in that Mark Andrews spot. So would love to have him, and we'll see what happens. But either way, to your guys' point about Zay Flowers and what have you, look, I think they've been using Zay Flowers just fine. It's the deep ball that has kind of been missing from the offense in general. So it hasn't just been let's not throw the ball to Zay Flowers as much. The ball's getting spread around like crazy because you got Nelson Aguilar and you have OBJ. So the wealth is being spread everywhere. It's just like the deep balls, the taking the top off the defense just hasn't happened. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's Lamar's not making accurate throws, or if it's just they're not figuring out there's not enough separation being made, but it seems like they are. I don't know. but that's really kind of what's going to be the big difference maker going down the stretch, is if they can really kind of rip off some of those big down the field plays, because we just haven't seen that. And we actually saw, and we're seeing that with some of the, rookie quarterbacks, as well as some quarterbacks that, are getting their debut season, if you will, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, the other part I think we forget in general, we bring it up. Zay Flowers is still a rookie. I know rookies are going to jump in, and we expect them to do well. And he has been, extraordinary. I think everyone's extremely happy with the pick. It's not all on him, but what I'm saying is he is dynamic with the ball in his hands. And I think for the Ravens in general, Bateman seems like he's getting healthier. OBJ is getting more in rhythm after that early ankle injury. The boys get it going. And that's the beauty of it. The Ravens are winning games when they still don't have it all figured out on offense. And that is something that you'll love to see when you're looking around. And we talked about the Chiefs in the past, Brad. The Chiefs, I don't think, have won a game when they've allowed more than 19 points this season. So the Ravens are finding ways to score points and win games in different ways. Now you just hope, though, that you can put it all together, especially over this final month plus of the season. Zach, any final word?
Oh, I was going to say, Brad, when we talked about Zach Ertz earlier, did you guys also see that he came out and said he has no interest in playing for the Cowboys?
No.
Yeah, I saw that someone on ESPN tweeted it out, that he said
because Cowboys are mid. Cowboys.
Yeah, he has no desire to play for Dallas.
He knows that they don't have a shot in the championship. They have a shot in Super, especially when the Cowboys have to go through the 49ers and the Eagles. So if I was somebody who was chasing a ring, I wouldn't be with the Cowboys either.
Well, in the Cowboys-Eagles, that's next Sunday night. Should be a great game. Hey, before we get out of here, and before all this, guys, if you're new to the channel, thank you for joining us. If you come back, we appreciate you guys as always. Joe, I don't know what the context of, if we're at the ballpark or not, but Italian sausage. What?
I know the context.
What's the context? Am I missing something here?
Yeah. There's a poll.
Well, you know what?
We asked the important questions around here, as you guys know. And so Ryan actually put out a poll that asked if hot dogs are a sandwich or a sub.
Oh.
So that's where that came from.
Ooh.
I was curious why suddenly people were talking about subs, and I was like, what's going on?
I am so damn hungry.
I was looking up at the chat, and I was like, where did this start coming up? That's what I was doing on my phone over here. I was trying to look back at the comments, and I was like, did Ryan bring up anything that involved Italian sausage?
Or were you trying to get a live bet in?
No, I actually checked. Christian Kirk, my one bet just hit, but he's
83% of people are saying that a hot dog is neither of those. It's just a hot dog.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Dog.
Is a hot dog just in the category itself?
Yeah, a hot dog's its own thing. It's its own thing. I think I can't put a hot dog in the category of a sandwich, but it's a subcategory of sandwich.
I would think it's a subcategory of a sub. I mean, it looks like a mini sub.
I just never thought of a hot dog as any type of sandwich.
Wait,
ever.
Okay, wait, but sub? Yeah, I guess it
or
would be
sub.
It would
anything.
It would lean more towards sub, and I'm thinking that's because of the bread not fully being
Yeah. It's not like two pieces of bread, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna leave more towards sub.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell to even think. I can't tell you how many hot dogs I've eaten over the course of my life. Growing up in the park. I think I do.
Why'd you grow up in the park?
I don't know, Zach.
Right.
I don't know.
I was just wondering if you were a big baseball fan. Can I not ask questions?
Don't ask questions you don't want the answers to.
We did forget to talk about Jordan Love.
Oh, no, we didn't. I was about to do before we get out of here now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Around the NFL, which, Brad, I know you wanted to touch on this one big time.
Yeah. So we will pull up footage of Ryan and I talking about this before the season even started, because we were pretty high on Jordan Love, and Ryan was actually more high on Jordan Love than I was until I saw Jordan Love play that week one game. And we saw Justin Fields kind of really take a back seat, because we thought I thought Justin Fields was going to have a bigger year. On paper, obviously it looked that was going to be the case before the season started. But man, Jordan Love has gone off, and wanted to get your guys' thoughts on the other side of Peter Schrager from Good Morning Football, singing high praise about Jordan Love.
Consistency. Because I'm watching Thursday night's game, and there's 200 yards of penalties, and there's flags on every single play, and it's so bad that Al Michaels references the ref and says, "Well, he's the MVP.
He's going to take
the
the call.
He can call the game." Yeah. And then, all right, huge game. Packers fighting for their playoffs lives. Chiefs fighting for home field advantage, and maybe the AFC West, considering what Denver's going to be doing. And then you don't get any flags at the end there, and you're wondering, okay, well, why'd you put the flags away? I get it. What I wouldn't want to do, though, is let those few calls cloud the performance of like what Jordan Love did. And I get it. The first thing on your mind is obviously going to be the officiating. Jordan Love outplayed Patrick Mahomes yesterday also. So I'm looking at this one. This is 4th and 1. 4th and 1. This is a play call in the second half. And he throws up this thing off the back of his foot, throws it in the air, and Romeo Doubs, amongst 4 different Chiefs players, finds a way to catch it. That's on 4th and 1. The decision for that pass is bold enough. And then 2 plays later, after the Chiefs defense stops him, you bring out Love again, and I think he throws an even nicer pass here to Watson. Now, all of us were on the show last year in August, and we were doing this whole thing with Rodgers. We're like, I don't know, are we really going to be talking about Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson in big moments? Is Rodgers really going to be able to do that without his guy, Devontae? It might have taken a little while, but gosh, those guys played good last night, and Jordan Love was awesome. That's the 3rd straight game that Jordan Love has been really good. He's now beaten the Chargers, he's beaten the Lions, and he's beaten the Kansas City Chiefs, and 2 of those games were in prime time in front of the entire country. So officiating, of course, it's mind-boggling. I don't know what you want from us this morning. We don't do the calls. We don't work in the league office where we can say, change things.
You get what they're saying and talking about Jordan Love. And we even talked about this. I don't know, Ryan. I think it might have been the game that they lost against the Saints a while back where they kind of blew that 17-point lead, I believe it was, in the 4th quarter. And all of the drop passes that we saw from the Packers and all of the incredible throws that Jordan Love was making. And so Jordan Love was kind of getting a lot of this heat, and we thought that it was unjustified because of the players that he had around him and that there were no big playmakers. And I think that we're seeing Doubs and Christian Watson start to get better. And we've seen that now over the last several games. And even without an Aaron Jones, I mean, I said at the beginning of the year, I think that Jordan Love is yet again another franchise quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, and I don't even know how they continue to do this. It's unbelievable.
I think that people forget, too, it's a young team that had their issues last year with Aaron Rodgers. And then this year you're having a quarterback that, yes, even though Jordan Love is not this rookie that's coming in, he hasn't been a starter in the NFL. And he gets off to a great start where he throws 3 touchdowns, no picks in the first 2 NFL games of the season. Then he hits some adversity. He had that big comeback win against the Saints, like you alluded to, Brad. But then that Detroit game was ugly. He almost came back with. The Vegas game was ugly. No touchdowns and 3 picks. But then this is where the progression started to get better and better for him. It was really kind of after that Denver loss, which he still gave his team a chance. They almost came back. And then things started to kind of make sense. Christian Watson, when he's healthy, by the way, is a stud. When that dude plays, Jordan Love, his game's even more elevated. But what you're seeing is he's starting to elevate his play and elevate the ones around him. And the last 3 games speak for themselves. Jordan Love has 8 touchdown passes, 0 interceptions. And all 3 of those games, he's thrown over 265 passing yards.
And we're also seeing the same exact performance numbers stat-wise as Aaron Rodgers did in 2005 during his debut season. So
it's crazy.
It's nuts how close it is.
Exact numbers.
Yeah.
And so that's the point right there. So Jordan Love, the Packers, it looks like everyone's now on the Jordan Love bandwagon, but the guy, he does look like he's the long-term answer there for the Pack. And imagine when they start to figure things out more and more, and they're going to add more pieces around. And hey, the Packers are right in the playoff mix now. And their schedule's very forgiving if they can take care of who they have to take care of down the stretch. So, and I believe their next game is against the New York Giants. That's a game that they're going to be favored in, and that's another chance for the Packers.
Should be heavily favored in.
The Pack might be back. The Pack might be back. What's another game, Zach, that we wanted to jump around to? I think specifically there's one up in New England that was just.
They got to stop putting the Patriots on on just television. They should not. It should be illegal to play Patriots games. They set the NFL record for what is this third straight game, all losses, and they've allowed 10 or less points in every single one of them. First time in NFL history that's happened. It's not even at the point where it's like, okay, what's going on with the quarterback? Like, they have to be tanking. Like, there's no way you can be this bad, right?
Sure. I don't know. For everyone that thought that
throwing every quarterback out there and all of them are horrible. Why is Malik Cunningham not the quarterback right now?
I don't know. If you really just want to give up on throwing altogether, yeah, bring Malik in, just do a little wildcat, maybe throw 3 times. That might be their better option. When Stevenson went down, Zeke was very serviceable. Zeke had a solid game stepping in, but their best player is Stevenson on offense. He goes down. I do feel bad. The Patriots defense played really well.
It's like Iowa football. It literally feels like Iowa football. Every Patriots game feels exactly like it does watching Iowa football.
It's kind of crazy that the defense is still actually playing as hard as they are.
And they're still missing some key pieces, like some very big
Gonzalez
pieces.
is not out there, and he is going to be
Judon,
a star.
Judon isn't healthy. It's not 100%. So the Patriots could be a dangerous team if they just figured out the offense. And I don't know if they're going to do it under Bill Belichick, which kind of makes me wonder if he's actually going to go to Commanders. We've talked about this. I think the Commanders are going to be an attractive spot for a coach/GM, especially if Jim Harbaugh goes back into the NFL. I think that there's a chance that Jim goes to San Diego.
Ooh.
I would love that.
I think, yes. The fact that also
Jim back in LA. West Coast Jim.
West Coast Jim, make it a thing. Make it a thing, maybe. It would be very enticing, but that's the other part is the Chargers. Yes, they played solid defense against the Ravens, but they have been one of the worst units defensively all season, and they've underperformed. But
yeah,
goodness gracious!
I think one last thing that we do have to talk about, the Jets, just because we just put this down. Jets offered Zach Wilson the job back. Supposedly, the Jets, Robert Saleh, asked Zach Wilson to take over the team again as the starting quarterback. And Zach Wilson, according to reports, because of conversations with Aaron Rodgers, neither of them are going to step back on the field due to injury risk. Wow. Isn't it just a great time to be a New York Jets fan? I'm glad I will say I am glad Rodgers has given up on this thing, because there's literally even if they win out, it's not. This is Zach Wilson, Zach Bollinger. Just what are we doing here? Where's Rock Corgi?
Yeah, we do need our Rock Corgi back. He's not right there.
Yeah.
He's a good kid. But to your point, it's a shit show in New York. It's not getting any easier. Buffalo, Miami seem like they're ascending while the Jets just can't take flight. And I know that's really punny and corny as hell. I haven't done that all day. So
this is my favorite one. Damn. Good luck, though.
Zach Wilson to the Jets.
Yeah. That literally is what happened.
Pretty hilarious ones on here, actually. So, like, this is one from Robert Griffin. I'm sure Robert Griffin III is vying for the Jets quarterback spot.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's called them and been like, so I heard you're just offering it.
Yeah. Actually the perfect spot for RG3 right now would actually be Cincinnati, since there's nothing but former Ravens quarterbacks going to other AFC North teams. So it only would make sense. If
it would only would make sense. Trace McSorley, you're mentioning, was added to the practice squad of the.
Yeah, and then you got Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco actually looked pretty good. You know, they lost the game. He threw that horrible pick, but
he threw
everything else was great.
Interception. He threw a classic Joe Flacco interception where he went for the deep ball and it just was not there.
100%.
It was literally like, I had
so underthrown.
Fans, I had Browns fans like text me like, he was playing so well until that interception. It's like, oh, as soon as I saw him look deep, I was like, oh, here's the interception. I was like, it's like when you've watched him long enough, you can just tell by his body language when that thing is about to be chucked.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you understand that Joe's not going to be cheated throwing a ball down the field.
Oh, hell no.
He is going to let it eat. And I think Joe Flacco, though, right now, looking at their team, I think he gives them the best chance.
Without a doubt.
So
Without a doubt.
we'll see. I think we'll see if we see Joe Flacco in week 3.
If you're the Jets,
Next week.
You watched that Cleveland game. And if I'm a Jets fan, there are so many questions about why we did not call Joe Flacco.
Oh, and the fact that Joe Flacco was your quarterback last year to start the season.
Also, Elijah Moore can only catch footballs from Joe Flacco, which is insane. He becomes a top 5 wide receiver in the league when Joe Flacco's his quarterback. Insanity.
It's just more salt to the wound for the Jets. A season that really could have maybe changed had they called a certain Joe Flacco. But the Browns, let's see if they can win next. I think the Browns play the Jags next week, if I'm not mistaken. So big game. Last thing then before we get out of here, I wanted to mention 2 things. My moments from around the league. 2 historic feats happened really on Sunday. One was a career day for Sam Laporta, who is going to possibly have the best rookie season for a tight end in NFL history. The dude only had 9 catches for 140 yards and a tutty. And the dude was sensational. And arguably right now, some would say next year, but I saw an argument being made. You could say he could be the top tight end taken off the board or top 2. That's where for fantasy next year. He's had 4 catches in at least 10 of the games that they've played. He had a 36% target share last game. The dude's balling out for the Detroit Lions.
I mean, this is so far down the thing. But where do you think Brock Bowers gets taken for tight ends?
Oh.
He's got to be a top 5. I mean, obviously it depends on where he goes, that whole thing. But this is the most hyped up tight end I've seen come in the league since Kyle Pitts, and he was going top 3 tight end.
You need to go where a place is going to
not do what they do to Kyle Pitts. That's for sure.
Well,
that's for sure.
You got to use your guy. It's got to be best scenario. The other part of the historic season, how about Mike Evans, man? Mike Evans, all he's done is play in the NFL for 10 straight years and have 1,000 yards receiving in every single season. And you look at his quarterback list. Yeah, it's unbelievable. And if you look at his quarterback list, it's not these names. Yes, Tom Brady came in there, but his group, it is an expansive list.
Whoa. Fitzmagic.
It's an expensive. Right, but I mean, you can go look at the amount of quarterbacks he had. From Fitz and Jameis Winston were the other 2 quarterbacks that he had played with. But you can look at that list. Those are not the only 2 guys he played with besides Brady.
Is Chris Sims on that list?
There's someone had a tweet out there, and I can't find it right now, so it's making me mad. But reality is Mike Evans is having one of his best seasons of his career. He got asked about, does he think he's playing his best ball right now? And he said he's a smarter player than when he was 3 years ago, when he felt like he was probably peak at how he physically and was playing the game. And that's scary. And Baker Mayfield will give him a shot. And for fantasy, I love it. But Mike Evans, only other person had more consecutive seasons of 1,000 yards or more is Jerry Rice. He's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
Dude's a stud.
Heard of him before.
Heard of him a few times. Shout out Mike Evans. Unbelievable year. But guys, I think that does it.
Yeah.
A long show. We had a lot. We got going with the spiciness. There was a lot of spiciness.
I also love the comments from the people in the chat.
Except Rocco.
Yeah, except Rocco.
And Malachi.
And Malachi. Rocco and Malachi get banned, but the rest of it, it's been some great conversation going on.
Yeah, I love it.
Yep. Well, hey, that does it for us, guys. So on the way out, if you can hit that like and subscribe button, we'd really appreciate it. We will be back on Thursday to do this once again, talk about what probably happened with this game, but then previewing what's going to be happening for this upcoming weekend, including the Ravens versus the Rams. And that's all we got. So, hey, enjoy the rest of your Monday night. Hope you have a great day. Enjoy your Tuesday and Wednesday. And we will see you back here Thursday for another episode of the Ryan Ripken Show. Why are we rocking?
I don't know. I thought we needed it.
We're missing
Is that what we're doing?